What's up guys, it's James Wilson with MTV Strength Training Systems and BikeJames.com, and I want to go over some cornering basics with you guys. Now, these are some basic techniques here. I know there's a lot more that could go into perfecting your corners, but I'm a big believer in picking out, 2 or 3 main things that are going to make the biggest difference and really concentrating on those, getting those dialed in before we get into more complicated stuff. So that's what I want to do right now, is go over those basic things that are going to really make a big impact on your cornering. So first, cornering is about leaning your bike over, not about turning the handlebars. And again, there's a lot of people that can explain all of the physics and stuff behind that better than I can, so I won't even try, but just trust me, it works better leaning the bike than turning the handlebars. So to lean the bike though, the first thing that you got to do is be able to separate yourself from the bike. So getting an adjustable seat post, like the command post that I have here, or one of the other ones on the market, will really help with your trail riding, because it'll allow you to easily get the seat out of the way so that you can separate yourself from the bike. It's almost impossible to get yourself separated from the bike with your seat all the way up. So at least having a quick release that you can lower your seat when you're starting to descend will really help. Get that seat out of the way. So when you're leaning your bike over, what we're trying to do is get the bike to lean over while we stay centered between the contact patch of the tires on the ground. So you can see as I lean this bike over, you can see the tires, the contact patch with the tires remains pretty much constant. And so you have to keep yourself lined up over that contact patch so that your weight is going down and creating good traction with the ground, between the ground and your tires. As soon as you start getting to the inside of that contact patch, that's when your weight starts pushing it out, and that's when you start drifting or pushing out in a corner. So this is one of the reasons that berms let you get away with some bad cornering technique, because they make up for that leaning the body and not leaning the bike. But the basic idea is leaning the bike, staying centered between those contact patches, and that'll lead to much better traction on the trail. So in order to accomplish that, what we want to do is use our hips to counterbalance our lean, and use what's called counter pressure or counter steering to initiate the lean. So in a previous blog post that I did, I talked about the counter steering or counter pressure, and a lot of people were kind of a little confused by that. So basically what that means is, if I want to turn left, I'm going to push my handlebars to the left. And you can see what happens when I straighten my left arm out, I push left, the wheel turns that way, but my bike leans. So on the trail, what will happen is you'll push, the wheel will turn that way initially, the bike will start leaning, and then the wheel will flop over in the angle that it needs to carry you through the corner. So what you want to do is straighten that inside arm out to go into a corner. So this is the counter steering or the counter pressure that I talked about. So again, you want to turn left or push left to go left, push right to go right. And so when you use this combined with the hips, then you're going to be able to get the bike to lean over while staying centered. So with the hips, what you want to do is point the hips in the direction you're going. So if you're going to the right, you want to point your belly button, swing your hips out so that your belly button is pointed in the direction that you want to go. So between pointing your belly button where you want to go and pushing right to go right, that's going to get the bike to lean over and keep you centered over the bike so that you'll have good traction, good balance, and that's what leads to good cornering. So I'm going to do a few demos so you guys can kind of see in action how this stuff works, and give you some drills and ideas and stuff to work from there. So this is just a basic cornering drill that I use. You can see I've just got a couple cones set up in a parking lot, and what I'm going to do is just take a run and practice my technique looking through it. So I'm going to be able to put together the 3 big rocks of cornering here. I'm going to use vision. So when I'm coming around that corner, I'm going to be looking through to that cone. I'm going to use my hips to set me up and swing outside of the corner, and I'm going to straighten my inside arm. So when I'm going in a corner, that's basically the 3 things I'm thinking. Look through the corner, swing my hips outside, straighten my inside arm, and that'll get the bike set up to do what I want to do. So here it is in action. So that's a basic cornering drill. You can see some of that stuff in action. Obviously the parking lot's a lot different than on the trail, but this is where you can hone those basics and then take it out onto the trail. And you know, trust me, it works just as well as there. And two, just kind of a side note, one of the good things about getting this technique down is when you start cornering, right, you start leaning the bike over, if it does slide out, it's just gonna slide out underneath you. And whereas if you're leaning with the bike and it slides out, you tend to get tossed down and slammed to the ground with it. So, you know, this technique will not only make you faster, it'll make you more confident, because when you do go too fast and you do end up blowing through a corner, it's not gonna be as devastating. You won't wreck, you're just gonna set the bike down and be able to, you know, get a foot down and you know, run it out most of the time. So, anyway, so there's some basic cornering tips for you guys. Hopefully give you a good visual on how that counter steering thing that I was talking about works. You know, remember, look through the corner, swing your hips outside, and straighten your inside arm. So if we're going into a left-hand corner, I'm gonna look through, I'm gonna swing my hips out to the right, I'm gonna straighten that left arm out, and that's what's gonna get me through that corner. I'm trying to keep myself centered between my contact patches, so make sure you're not leaning with the bike, you're leaning the bike and not your body. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed these tips and will get something out of it. Once again, it's been James Wilson with MTB Strength Training Systems. You can check me out on the web at bikejames.com.